And welcome back. Vibra Hospital has a new CEO, and we're happy to introduce to you Daniel Dunmeyer. Dan's here to tell us about Vibra's specialty acute care and rehabilitation nursing facility and what sets them apart from other hospitals. First, your location, if people don't understand where your location or realize where your location is right there in the old East Cooper Medical Facility, right off of Johnny Dodge. You can still see it from the highways and the byways. Very easy access to get to. Tell us about Vibra, because some folks might not understand. I know, because I've talked with you folks before, it is a huge element between it. It's sort of an interim between people coming out of a hospital but still need some very strong care.
Tom, that's exactly right. What sets us apart actually is we're considered what's called an LTAC, long-term acute care. Other hospitals are considered STAC, short-term acute care, so the MUSCs and the Ropers and others. There's a lot of pressure on the STACs or the other hospitals to discharge their patients as soon as they can, but we've recognized that there's a need for those who have probably several comorbidities that are causing some issues, and they need a lot longer length of stay, so they come to us. We get patients from 30, 40 different hospitals from several different states, and they come generally from a referring hospital. We'll occasionally take them from a nursing home or assisted living, or maybe even from home.
Sure.
But they tend to come from an ICU in the other types of hospitals.
And Vibra's probably one of the only facilities around the Tri-County that does that.
You're correct.
Yeah.
I don't recall. I think there may be 5 in the entire state.
Wow.
There's only about 470 in the whole country, and we're the only one in this part of the area.
When did that type of care come about? Because we've always had the hospitals and we've always had home, and a number of times a patient still needs that care. Insurance is saying, well, you got to get out of the hospital, but the patient and the doctor is also saying, hey, well, we still need some specialty care, and you're really not well to go directly home. So when did this interim type care come about?
The long story is it started back in the 70s, actually, when TB hospitals were converted into other types of hospitals, because they had a lot of TB hospitals, but TB was near being eradicated.
Yeah, tuberculosis.
Yes. So about probably the early 90s, though, was when LTACs took off, and so that correlates to when Medicare and other insurance carriers starting putting pressure on the hospitals to reduce their length of stay. It's needed. Medicare supports us. Most of the commercial companies will negotiate with us and allow us to admit their patients. Not all, but it's a recognized need, because most of our patients are elderly. They have several things going wrong. It's just not a pulmonary issue. It's oftentimes a pulmonary, a cardiological, or other types of issues. So there's multiple issues going on.
You've been a hospital administrator manager for a number of years in other locations. You come here to Charleston. What do you see the Charleston area doing over the next 10 to 15 years with acute care such as Vibra that offers? I see you guys, this is just a guy from the street saying, I see you guys expanding a great deal, because our elderly are living longer. We are living longer. We need to have continued care. And a lot of times there's not that interim that's there until you come to Vibra.
Tom, you're spot on, at least how I believe as well.
Yes,
the role we'll play here will continue to be supportive of the other types of hospitals, but the change in reimbursement that's going on as well is going to drive different entities together. So we hope to be a part of not ownership in Roper or MUSC and others, but to have a relationship strong enough with them, because there's going to be what's called bundling of payments, or integrated networks that will need to have not just short-term hospitals, but LTACs and rehab and skilled nursing all together. So I see it growing as well. We're fortunate in one way to be the only hospital here. If there was multiple hospitals, then there would be a lot of various pressure to do something with one hospital alone. But since we're the only one here, we expect it to help us grow.
We got about 30, 45 seconds left. What are most of the type of care of an individual, the problems or symptoms, not symptoms, but the problems that a patient has that comes to Vibra?
Right now, it will change a little bit in the future, but right now our number one type of patient is a patient that's on a ventilator and needs to get off. We help wean them and get them off the ventilator. Then we have wound type patients, wound care. We'll have IV antibiotic patients that need long-term antibiotics and they can't receive it at home. And then we have a lot of the medically complex, cardiology, diabetic, nephrology, those types of combinations.
So if a person needs your care, or if a caregiver knows about your care, how can they get a hold of you folks?
A couple different ways, but it's usually referred from their doctor at another hospital,